Stop right there, ladies and gentlemen. Don't fast forward. Please make sure to watch this video thoroughly. It's going to be very, very important. Let's just start off by saying, holy smokes, XRP is following our projected path perfectly from our previous videos, not only breaking the larger macro triangle that we have been discussing for many months, but also on the shorter to medium time frame triangle that we also identified. We are very close to the all-time high, about 10% or so away from it from the current time of recording. I still do think that we will break it eventually, so please make sure to watch this video and don't skip any parts because I'm going to be talking about the targets for the macro structure. Also, just very quickly, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button if you haven't already. It really does help me pump out more of these videos. I truly, sincerely appreciate everyone's support. If you're also interested in the Discord membership where I also offer more in-depth analysis and my personal train of thoughts on the market, please don't hesitate to reach out with any of the links in the description below. We also offer a Patreon if you are interested in seeing more video updates twice a week. So in this video, now that we have pretty much gotten all of the obstacles out of the way in terms of the patterns on the shorter, medium, and macro time frames, I think it's a good time to now discuss how far and how we can achieve the larger macro targets. So it's going to be divided into two different scenarios. And this first scenario is going to be the slower route, but we do have an alternative scenario for a plan B that can just bring us up to these levels at a faster route, but it won't be as ambitious of a target. So it is a trade-off between the two scenarios. If you're seeing a slower route like we have here, which is the more rational approach in my opinion, we're going to be looking for a pullback. So that's going to be the focus of this scenario. So this first scenario, this whole move here is just the beginning of what could be a 5-wave move going into the first intermediate degree of this larger 5th wave. If you're new to this Elliott Wave thingy, it's very, very simple. The Elliott Wave Theory is only comprised of 5 waves to the upside. And right now that this wave 4 has terminated as a triangle, we are currently within this wave 1 and we're working for that 4th wave that just now completed, working for that 5th wave for that first wave that we're looking for, and then looking for a larger wave 2 pullback, which should arguably be deep, and then look for even a larger expansion phase of this wave 3 for this wave 5 of 5. So if that's the case, we're going to be expecting a 50 to possibly even a 70-80% pullback before we actually go for this move here. But not to worry, because if we're able to identify a 3-way pullback on the larger scale as we have here, it's going to be very easy to identify if it's controlled, that is. And if we do find all these signs and contradictions against what a lot of people are seeing this as a possible bearish move to the downside, is that as long as we have a 3-wave move being created for this wave 2 and we start distributing, ladies and gentlemen, this wave 3 is going to be far more profitable than this entire move in itself. Right here is where a lot of people are possibly going to be either re-entering, number one. Number two, those that missed out on this want a piece of the pie for XRP and they want to be working for one more move to the upside. So this wave 3 is going to be the most profitable wave. Now, the strategy to trade this, in my opinion, just personal basis, is that usually for me, I like to exit on these wave 3s. I don't like to trade wave 4s and 5s on the smaller degrees because it's far too emotional. And I know that eventually we're going to be looking for a larger pullback that is going to be a far larger correction in the horizon. That's why I think that exiting on a wave 3, just calling it for goods, even though it may go up for another 20, 30, 40%, it's just not enough a risk-reward ratio, especially if you're already positioned within these levels over here. So this slower route, ladies and gentlemen, although it is far higher in targets, it does require a little bit of patience because we are looking for a 3-way pullback for that wave 1, 2, like I showed here. After this wave 1, this 2, this wave 3 is going to be it's going to be rewarding all the patient traders basically. So that is how we're going to be approaching this first scenario. But for me, regardless, we should still be taking profits here regardless because we're expecting a pullback and that helps mitigate some of your profits, right? So I think that on this wave 2, once we do find some distribution and we find a clear 3-way move, whether it is going to be a flat, whether it's going to be some kind of double zigzag as a WXY correction, we don't know at this current stage. It's far too early to kind of predict what kind of pattern it will be. But right now we have been predicting every single pattern, and right now there's really no other way, and everything has been exhausted. And we're now finally looking for how this wave 1 is going to be concluding. Then this wave 2 will happen in the following months, and then this 3, 4, 5 is going to be happening afterwards. And that should project us in terms of targets up into the $20 to the $40 regions. And in my opinion, if those are who are are arguing against it, saying that the market cap can't be supported. I digress, and I really am sorry for those who are still believing that the market cap can't be supported. It's a very far, really old ancient technique in terms of how to determine how a market cap can be applied to the coins. But if you look at it, XRP went from a 30 billion market cap all the way to 148 billion market cap in just a few months. We're not even talking about a few months, just like a 2 months time span. That's absolutely insane. Everything is based on supply and demand, ladies and gentlemen. It's the same argument that we saw for Apple in its early days. No one thought it can go to $1 trillion market cap. Everyone was wrong. And I still do believe that everyone, especially with XRP starting to show regulatory framework, clarity, and also setting kind of the framework for how the crypto markets are being set up from a legal standpoint, I think this is the coin that is going to be setting forth for how crypto markets are going to be functioning, not only from a utility perspective, but also from a regulatory perspective. So this case here, this slower route, in my opinion, is going to be giving that also route, also combined in that fundamental perspective, also in a technical perspective that takes into combination for the rational approach that we're going to be looking for a 60 to 70% pullback. So you can be a bear, you can be a bull at the same time, ladies and gentlemen. But in my opinion, I think that this slow route is the more rational approach that we can be achieving $20 to $40 regions in the coming year or two. So that is the first scenario. Now, we can just say that this here, ladies and gentlemen, is the 5 wave in itself. So how does that happen? Now we have to do is remove this and just say that this here is now possibly the faster route. This is the second scenario, ladies and gentlemen. Take a time to listen, okay? So if this is 5 waves, again, we're looking for 5 waves for a 5th wave. Now, in the first scenario, we discussed how we could be working in a wave 1. But there's also the chance that since we did break this technical wave 3, this can be the 5 wave in itself that's going into the 5th wave. So what does that mean? We have to now make this the larger degree as the intermediate degree. And in my opinion, this could lead us to $7 to $10, but ladies and gentlemen, there is a problem here. It's not going to go as high. So this idea, in my opinion, is also very rational in its own regard, meaning that if we take into account that XRP in the past has concluded all the bull markets, this move here, we're looking for 5 waves in the smallest degree now. So what that means is that this primary 5th wave is already starting to come to a conclusion, and we're already working in that 5th wave, and where this is now the conclusion in terms of how XRP is going to be playing out. So what that means is we're now looking for possibly, since this wave 4 has broken out, we're looking for 5 waves up for how this 5th wave ends in the intermediate degree in the orange, and that will be the 5th wave of the 5th wave because we broke above this wave 3 and we are now in price discovery. So what does that mean? That will be the end of the bull market. If that's the case, this is the faster route. Basically, it gives us a little bit of more room to go to the upside in the shorter time frame, all the way up to possibly $7 to $10 before that really concludes the entire market. So you see the difference here, ladies and gentlemen. Instead of this being the minor wave going into that first wave 1, it is the 5th wave that we're working here already in the larger degree. As you can see here, all we are doing is now changing the degree structures, and now this is the 5th wave that we are working for. So in my opinion, the possible target is around this level here if we're taking the fib extension for the wave 1, and we're also measuring it with the pivot of wave 4. This 100% target is going to be our first minimum target for this 5th wave that will give us the equality that will equal the length of wave 1 on the macro scale. So in my opinion, $9 seems like a very fair spot to start taking profits. Nevertheless, you should still be taking profits no matter what from a risk management perspective at these levels here when you're breaking all-time high no matter what, because in anticipation for this pullback and also in anticipation for a 1-2 pullback. So you have to also make sure to go back and forth where you are currently positioned in the market. If you're currently positioned around these levels, you may have a different strategy where you may be looking for a possible 1-2 pullback, and you can still take profits at a relatively high level because you're already well positioned. If you're positioned over here, you're probably going to want this to be happening because if we go for a 1-2 pullback, it's going to go back to your entry no matter what. So there is 2 ways that we have to look at this depending on how and well you're positioned in the markets. Those are the only ways, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like everyone is positioned in the same spot, right? So in my opinion, those are the only 2 ways that we can see it. We're still seeing some very high projected targets regardless. If you're already entered in these levels, that's already 1,000, 2,000% gain, right? So around $7 to $8, $10, I think that's a very fair assessment in terms of how this fifth wave could end. Since wave 3 was already quite extended, it could really be, short. And that is why, since this wave 3 was so extended and we're assuming that this wave 5 is also going to be short, that's why this scenario just seems a little bit more likely, that we're going to not extend as far for this fifth wave, and we're going to end this fifth wave around $4 to $5, then go for a pullback, and that will be this next distribution phase, in my opinion, like we had over here. This is just a smaller degree kind of distribution zones. So hopefully that was helpful, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening. I think those are the only two routes, in my opinion. Like I said, we are either working for this wave 1, and then we're going to be working for the larger wave 3. That's going to be far more profitable than what we saw for wave 1. Or this is the 5 wave in itself, where we're already completing this fifth wave, and this should be kind of the last conclusion for the bull market entirely for XRP, where this fifth wave is going to end here, which also still gives us a relatively good outlook. And also based on the post-triangle thrust measurement, using the widest part of the triangle, that is around the level that it should be concluding no matter what. And that is why we need to take profits accordingly, because we're still expecting a 1-2 pullback and also the conclusion of this second scenario. So hopefully that was helpful. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. And also, if you're interested in the Discord membership and also Patreon membership, links are in the description below. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video, hopefully with another Bitcoin update. Make sure to hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen, because it does show interest, and I always do track it. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Bye-bye.